So thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and introduce the Cherokee representative. Come on up and introduce yourself. Let's give her a big round of applause. She's come a long way to share her story with us.
Thank you, everyone. As she said, OCO, that's our greeting for hello. My name's Cynthia, and I'm with Cherokee Nation Cultural and Tourism. I've been with this department for 8 years now, but I've worked with Cherokee Nation businesses for 11. So, but I think I've found my passion in tourism. I'm excited today to share with you what our hand in developing tourism in Cherokee Nation. I'll be sharing with you the different sites we've developed and giving you a little history on those. So my presentation is just a little different than everyone else's. Cherokee Nation is located in the northeastern part of the state of Oklahoma. We cover a 14 county jurisdiction, and our capital is in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. So why culture and tourism in the Cherokee Nation? It supports a positive image of the Cherokee Nation, strengthens our story. It provides economic opportunities while educating about our history. It encourages partnerships with our Cherokee communities, organizations, and businesses. And most importantly, it tells our story. Our founding principles, this department was created in 2007, so we've been in existence for 11 years. We've accomplished a lot in that 11 years, but there's much more to do. We started out with a strategic plan based on phased development, and this included preservation, museums, tours, events, cultural retail, and all that combined together tells our story in one way or another. Our vision is to develop a thriving tourism region that promotes authentic Cherokee culture through planning, promotion, and partnerships. Our mission is to provide a tourism experience that promotes and preserves authentic Cherokee history and culture also. So with these plans in place, we needed to develop our product. We needed to go from historic sites to tourist attractions. We currently have had a hand in these 6 different projects to create tourism for the Cherokee Nation. And I'll be going over each 6 of these properties individually, giving you a little bit of history. On 4 of the properties, I'll be playing videos, and these were produced by OCO TV, and I'll tell you a little bit more about OCO TV towards the end of the presentation. So our first one is the Cherokee National Supreme Court. The Supreme Court was built in 1844, and it's one of our oldest government buildings in Oklahoma. This was one of our very first preservation projects, and we were able to open it in 2009.
It's your turn to visit the Cherokee Nation and explore 66,000 acres of lush Oklahoma countryside, scenic lakes and rivers, and engaging cultural attractions, like the Cherokee National Supreme Court Museum. Built in 1844 and located in Tahlequah, it is the oldest government building in the state of Oklahoma. It was built just after the main body of the Cherokee people were removed into Indian Territory. The tribe had drafted the 1839 Constitution, which continued the 3 branches of government system which they had utilized in the eastern homelands. The judicial branch included a Supreme and District Court system, and they were housed in this building. Many of the laws that were enacted through these courts were published in the tribal newspaper, the Cherokee Advocate. It was the first newspaper in what is now Oklahoma, and its headquarters were later housed in this building. The Advocate was written in both Cherokee and English and was the primary means of the Cherokee Nation to inform its people from 1844 to 1906, after which the nation was systematically shut down due to the Curtis Act of 1898. Listed on the National Register of Historic Places, the structure was fully restored and opened as a museum in 2009. Now, visitors to the museum can view the last Cherokee Advocate printing press and can learn more about the Cherokee judicial system, our written language, and our history and culture through a variety of historical artifacts and displays. To plan your visit to the Cherokee National Supreme Court Museum, go to visitcherokenation.com.
And then our next property is the Cherokee National Prison Museum. The prison was built in 1875. This was our second project, and along with it, we were able to include an interpretive center also, and we opened it in 2012.
It's your turn to visit the Cherokee Nation and explore 66,000 acres of lush Oklahoma countryside, scenic lakes and rivers, and engaging cultural attractions, like the Cherokee National Prison Museum in downtown Tahlequah. The Cherokee National Prison Museum was built in 1875 and was the only penitentiary in Indian Territory through 1901. It housed sentenced or accused prisoners from throughout the territory before statehood. The sandstone rock building still stands in downtown Tahlequah, now as a museum and interpretive site, offering a glimpse into the rough-and-tumble history of Indian Territory. Inside, visitors will learn about prisoners and how they were used as laborers. You can explore replicated 19th century jail cells and witness the reconstructed gallows. The Interpretive Center teaches visitors about law and order in the 1800s. Visitors will learn about crimes and punishments in Indian Territory and about famous lawmen of the time, like Samuel Sixkiller, the first High Sheriff of the Cherokee Nation. There are stories of outlaws who hid out in the area and some who were named outlaws but in fact were Cherokee patriots. The story of Ned Christie, for example, is one of the most infamous in Indian Territory. Christie, wrongly accused of killing U.S. Marshal Dan Maples, was forced to hide out and through a network of Cherokee allies was able to remain free, fighting off federal lawmen for years. Ned Christie is seen as a patriot by many Cherokees, and his story represents the Cherokees' constant struggle to overcome federal barriers and remain a sovereign nation. His story is featured in the museum, and you can even buy a t-shirt with his picture on it in the museum gift shop. To plan your visit to the Cherokee National Prison Museum, go to visitcherokenation.com.
And then our next property was John Ross Museum. We were really ambitious in 2012. We opened 2 properties in 1 year. That's a feat in itself. I think part of our group was up all night to be open the next morning that we were supposed to have our grand opening to get it prepared for the public. So this was our third property. For the John Ross Museum, we chose to preserve an old schoolhouse building. It was Rural Schoolhouse 51, and it was built in 1913. And it takes an up-close look at the life and leadership of John Ross. He was the principal chief of the Cherokee Nation for over 30 years.
It's your turn to visit the Cherokee Nation and explore 66,000 acres of lush Oklahoma countryside, scenic rivers and lakes, and engaging cultural attractions, like the John Ross Museum and Cemetery in Park Hill. The museum is set in a former rural schoolhouse built in 1913 and highlights the life and legacy of the influential Cherokee chief John Ross. Ross was principal chief of the Cherokee Nation for nearly 40 years during one of the most tumultuous and impactful times in its history. Born in 1790, Ross was a native of the old Cherokee Nation in what is now Georgia. He rose to prominence at a young age, and by 1827, Ross had served his nation as a delegate to Washington, D.C., as a veteran of the Battle of Horseshoe Bend, and as president of the Cherokee National Committee. In 1828, John Ross was elected principal chief of the Cherokee Nation for the first of many terms. Ross fought tirelessly against President Andrew Jackson's Indian removal policy, determined to protect the Cherokee homelands. Ultimately, Ross was unsuccessful in preventing the devastation that was the Trail of Tears. So he led the Cherokees to the new Indian Territory, where they would rebuild their government with Chief Ross at the helm. Ross and his family settled in Park Hill, Indian Territory, near present-day Tahlequah, Oklahoma. After a lifetime of working to preserve the sovereignty of the Cherokee Nation, Chief John Ross died in Washington, D.C. in 1866, campaigning for his people and his nation until the very end. He is buried in the Ross Cemetery in Park Hill, situated just behind the John Ross Museum. The cemetery is on the National Register of Historic Places and is the burial grounds for many in the Ross family, important Cherokee delegates, and survivors of the Trail of Tears. In addition to highlighting the life and legacy of Chief John Ross, the museum houses exhibits and interactive displays on the Trail of Tears, Civil War, Cherokee Golden Age, and Cherokee Nation's passion for the education of its people. The museum also has a gift shop and research area. To plan your visit to the museum, go to visitcherokenation.com.
Okay, and the next property I'm going to talk about is Sequoias Cabin. This particular property was run by the Historical Society of the state of Oklahoma for several years, and just last year we were able to acquire this property back from the state. We're very pleased with this because if you don't know Sequoia, he was the creator of our written language.
It's your turn to visit the Cherokee Nation and explore 66,000 acres of lush Oklahoma countryside, scenic lakes and rivers, and engaging cultural attractions, like Sequoias Cabin Museum in Sallisaw, Oklahoma. Sequoia, also known as George Guess, is one of the most well-known Cherokees in history. He was the inventor of the Cherokee syllabary and the creator of a legacy that extends far beyond the Cherokee Nation. His cabin has been turned into a museum and is a popular Oklahoma tourism destination. Sequoia was born in Tennessee around 1778, and in 1809 he began experimenting with a written form of the Cherokee language. Sequoia's involvement in the War of 1812 put his work on hold, and in 1818 he moved west with a group of Cherokees called the Old Settlers. The Old Settlers migrated to present-day Oklahoma and western Arkansas prior to the Trail of Tears. Here, Sequoia continued developing his syllabary, designating a symbol for each sound in the Cherokee language. When Sequoia demonstrated that he and his daughter, Ayoka, could communicate by reading written messages, the teaching of the syllabary spread and literacy rates among Cherokees soared within just a few years. By 1829, Sequoia was established on this land near present-day Sallisaw, Oklahoma, where he built a one-room log cabin for himself and his family. Sequoia farmed the land and had a small salt operation, a common business for Cherokees in that area. In addition to his tremendous contribution of the written language, Sequoia served the Cherokee people as a leader and statesman. Following the Trail of Tears, he was instrumental in composing the 1839 Act of Union. This document served to unite the Old Settlers with the newly arriving Cherokees from the east. Sequoia lived in this cabin for 11 or 12 years before undergoing a voyage to Mexico. He was searching for other Cherokees who had moved south and died there around 1843. Sequoia's cabin has been designated as a National Historic Landmark and National Literacy Landmark and now operates as a museum. The actual cabin is located inside a stone memorial building built by the Works Progress Administration in 1936. And is surrounded by a 10-acre park. The cabin is furnished to appear as it might have when Sequoia lived there, with relics and documents associated with his life on display. Visitors to the museum can explore exhibits that share the story of Sequoia, his development of the Cherokee syllabary, and Cherokee language today. Additional displays showcase the history of Cherokee Old Settlers, Cherokee Nation post-removal, and the modern Cherokee Nation. There's a Cherokee Nation gift shop on site, and the grounds surrounding the cabin are perfect for a picnic. To plan your visit to Sequoia's Cabin Museum, go to visitcherokenation.com.
Okay, and next, our Cherokee National Peace Pavilion. We just had the ribbon cutting on this property just last month. The Cherokee National Peace Pavilion was built to commemorate the 175th anniversary of the 1843 Cherokee Peace Council. During this historic meeting, more than 18 tribal nations gathered together to seek unity and to build a relationship with each other. The pavilion is an interpretation of an original open-air log pavilion built by Cherokee Nation in the early 1840s. This pavilion will provide us a great gathering place for events and meetings. Just in that very same month that we did an intertribal meeting there, and it was very receptive being outside. It just felt different than being stuck in a boardroom. And our next property, this is the Cherokee National Capital. This is a property we're currently working on. We hope to have it open in the spring of 2019. And I'll just give you a little back history on this property. The Capitol was completed in 1869, and it was occupied the center of town. Of the square, where it still stands today. And at that time, it housed all three branches of Cherokee Nation government. Until recently, it housed our judicial branch. But while they occupied that building, we were able to do some restoration to the exterior of the building. We added the cupola on top, and in 2013, and it brought the Capitol back to its 1870s appearance. And then a few years later, we were able to do a masonry restoration on the outside. We replaced more than 2,000 bricks on the building, and we were able to remove the paint that had been painted over the existing bricks. Now that our judicial branch has moved out, we have taken it over to do the interior, and we hope to create a wonderful museum for everyone. This is some of our renderings, our vision for the property. It will be there to educate Cherokees and visitors alike on the powerful and inspiring story of the Cherokee people. This is just the iceberg of some of our properties. There's so much more to see in the Cherokee Nation. You know, we talk about partnerships, and partnerships are very important to us. One of our biggest partnerships is the Cherokee Heritage Center. We work together. They are run by the Cherokee Nation Historical Society, and they are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So by creating all these sites, we needed an avenue. We didn't want them to sit there empty. We want people to come see and learn about our history. So we created packages. We offer group tours. If you have a group of 10 or more, we have specific itineraries for your group. We have motor coaches that come that will have groups of 35 to 55 people. And we have an interpretive guide that will step onto the coach in authentic time period clothing and be there to answer those questions and clarify our history for you. So we created the Cherokee History Tour, the Cherokee Civil War Tour, and Sequoias Cabin Tour. And along with that, education tours. They are very important to us. These are geared towards 3rd through 12th graders. And during the spring and fall, we do a grant tour program where they can come at no charge and have a guided tour and do scavenger hunts and arrowhead hunts and do some blowgun. And then for those people, you say, well, I don't have a group of 10 or more. Well, we created a self-guided tour for you, for the individuals, and it's called the Cherokee Passport. For one price, a family of 4 can visit all our museums for one cost, and it's very reasonable. So then, after we get that all set, we're ready to do other offerings to engage our groups and bring them into the museums. So, of course, we have retail outlets. Each museum has a retail outlet that's specific to the history of that location. And then we also run 2 welcome centers in the state of Oklahoma, where we offer tourist information for all of the state and then offer Cherokee items for sale. Our main gift shop is the Cherokee Nation gift shop, and it's located in the heart of our tribal offices and complex. And it was first established in the mid-'80s, and it is still thriving today. And then Stories on the Square. This is our third year for Stories on the Square, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. We invite Cherokee citizens to come in and tell Cherokee stories for an hour every morning, like on Wednesdays for the month of June and July. We try to beat the heat. And then we have Spring and Fall Make and Takes. This is for our younger students and children. We open our museums for no cost to visit, and they can come in and go to an activity center. We've had them make corn husk dolls, clay beads, medallions that they can take home and remember their visit with us. We do preservation workshops and series. And then, of course, our Cherokee National Holiday. It's held Labor Day weekend every year. This will be our 66th annual holiday. And you can see everything from a parade to art show to native games to a fiddling contest and much, much more. On Fridays and Saturday nights, we hold our powwow, our open powwow for everybody to view. And then we have we have Cherokee Days here at the museum. If you're not aware of that, we come every April. This will be our 6th year. We'll be here April 12th through the 14th next year, and it gives us an opportunity to bring together all three of our Cherokee tribes. We have which includes ourselves, Cherokee Nation, the United Katua Band of the Cherokee Indians, which is also located in Oklahoma, and the Eastern Band of the Cherokee Indians in North Carolina. So we all come together as one. We get to talk and make new friendships while we are doing demonstrations. We have artists coming and showing how they make their products and sell them. So if you're around, come and see us. We always look forward to coming to Washington. And then last but not least, we have Cherokee Art Market. This will be our 13th annual art market, and we do that on the second weekend in October. We host over 130 artists from across the United States, and they come and display and sell their artwork. So where to find us? Of course, visit CherokeeNation.com, where you can see our events, get details on the sites. If you want to book a tour, you can do that too, or just request information from us. The gift shop, you're not able to really come and visit us and see the gift shop. You can go online and shop. And then we have CherokeeArtMarket.com. If you just forgot the dates and you want to know when the next art market is, you can go there. If you're an artist and would like to, participate in our art market, there's an application and the process is of jurying you in. And then, like I said, OCO TV. OCO TV, they produce OCO, it's Voices of the Cherokee People. It's a 30-minute program, and it features people, places, history, and culture of the Cherokee Nation. My favorite part is Let's Talk Cherokee. We have our immersion students come out, and they'll film them, and they'll speak Cherokee and show you how to say it from English to Cherokee. So that's the end of my presentation. Wado means thank you in Cherokee, and I appreciate you sitting there and listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them for you. We're good? If you're too shy and you want to ask something later, we have a booth over here, so you can come by and see me. Wado.